money laundering, and we wanted
President Herzog, I must stop you there. I must stop you there because it is something that Israeli ministers say quite a bit. I have found, and many have found, no credible evidence for that. And indeed, Jack Lew, who is former US ambassador in Jerusalem, recently wrote that he never saw evidence of systematic diversion by Hamas, and that so the former US ambassador is lying.
They take the food and then they sell it triple price, not only double price. They launder the money and use it for their war machine. The fact is that once we flooded and opened all the gates into Gaza, including, by the way, the last 24 hours, 600 trucks have gone into Gaza, for example, and airdrops, and a huge amount of food has gone in. The prices have gone down sharply and dramatically. That means it's not in the control of somebody who's blackmailing the market.
But the question is also what happens to that when it gets inside. I'm not talking about Hamas. Many agencies have said they're blocked from distributing it.
So I must say that I'm studying it. I met with many organizations, including the World Central Kitchen, and others. We met recently with the World Food Program and others to make sure that the procurement and the supply and distribution will be much more efficient. Part of it has to do also with UN failure to take hundreds of trucks and distribute them forward into Gaza.
They say at length that they are systematically blocked by this.
The problem is that it's very easy just to put the blame here on Israel.
Well, Israel is in control.
No, people have to go into Gaza and understand the situation in and of itself. The place is full of booby traps. Every building is booby trapped and prepared with cameras so that they control it from underneath so that they can fire at anybody getting close. This is a very dangerous terrain. That's what we are fighting against. We want to get the Hamas war machine out and enable a better future for the people of Gaza.
But you have many aid agencies calling for the return of the UN-led system, saying that they are blocked.
The UN-led system has gone back substantially, dramatically, and totally overhauled because of the lack of food that occurred 2 months ago. And that occurred because there was an effort for an alternative system to take the control of Hamas out and have direct supply to the families. It did not work out so well.
Let me ask you about a second aspect that has distressed people and given rise to these government condemnation, and that is the level of civilian casualties in Gaza. 60,000 or so people, several percent then of the population of Gaza.
It's not 7% at all,
several.
And it's not true.
How do you justify the scale of civilian casualty?
Look, every one person aches and pains us, truly. But let's just put the picture in clear perspective. We were attacked by a jihadist organization who wants to eradicate us, and these fighters, they don't care dying because they are jihadists. In jihad, you believe that you die, you go to heaven, and you served your purpose in killing Jews, and by the way, Christians as well. And we've gone in order to prevent the attacks on our people and get the hostages back. And when we go in, the terrain is full of ammunition and missiles in living rooms and missiles in bedrooms and missiles in shops and mosques and whatnot. And these missiles can be also long-range missiles, not only short-term missiles. Now, we have the full right under international law to defend ourselves. And what we are trying to do is to uproot those systems and enable a better future for Gaza. Any plan for the day after requires at the end that Hamas will not be able to take over Gaza again. So that's the issue here.
And let's be lucid about it. International law absolutely gives you the right to defend yourself. But it doesn't give you the right to cause unlimited suffering. And where people argue that Israel is clearly breaching the laws of war, is not differentiating between civilians and combatants, as obliged to do, using too much force beyond what is necessary, and having goals that are militarily achievable, and using proportionate action.
We still have our citizens on the border of Gaza. Let's just remember October 7th, because in October 7th they slaughtered Muslims and Jews and many other religions and 36 nationalities, and they raped them, and they burnt them, and they hanged them, and they abducted them, and they want to do the same and the same, and they say they want to do the same. Khalil al-Khaya himself said, I want to do the same, and I celebrate that incredible day of October 7th. So we have the full right to defend ourselves in a way that this will not recur again. So what do? We go in and say, you want to stop? Let's stop, get out, and bring our hostages back home. But on the contrary, they torture our hostages. They don't allow any ability to get them out. And because of that, we're going in. We go into a neighborhood. It's all booby-trapped.
President Herzog, you have several times described the reality of fighting in Gaza.
A sniffing dog,
but what I'm asking you,
the building himself explodes.
What I'm asking you,
and you guys are unaware of it or don't want to listen that this is the war zone that we are dealing with. And you don't have that in England, but if it was in England, the whole British people would have gone as big, as strong as possible, just as they've done in past wars. And that's the issue, because if Britain would have been attacked from seven corners of the earth,
we're talking beyond hypotheticals there. President Herzog, we're talking about, and this is what is driving the international outrage.
It's also
the repeating. Will you let me finish, please?
It's supported by many elements in the digital arena as well.
What we're talking about is the repeated bombing of residential areas, of hospitals, and of the scale of civilian
hospitals in Gaza
of the scale of civilian casualty.
But if a hospital is a headquarter of a terrorist machine operating and sending missiles on us, then we target only that specific place, because under international law we do it. We target only the specific place where they're shooting from.
One of the laws of war is proportionality, avoiding excessive civilian harm relative to military advantage. You haven't got rid of all Hamas, and you have killed a lot of people in Gaza. How is that proportionate?
Because we are, first of all, we argue with a lot of the data, and we are willing, and I propose to Prime Minister Starmer also, for example, on the humanitarian aid, to send a fact-finding mission and get all the data. We have it all transparent and open. We supply it every day, and we can show the difference between what is reported and what is happening on the ground. Same goes for warfare. We abide strictly by the rules of international law and how it relates to warfare. But the issue is, you have to judge the war according to the terrain of the war. The terrain of the war is...
No, that isn't one of the that isn't part of the international laws of war.
Huge amount of tunnels that were built for decades, which was a major error for oversight for not seeing it. We've demolished about 34 to 40% of this huge infrastructure. Money that would have gone to help and aid the people of Gaza went to these tunnels, to this war machine. They are down under, and from down under, they send all their cameras to see upstairs
President
what's
Herzog,
going on.
Again, you are describing
warfare,
the circumstances of fighting in Gaza, which we all understand. But I want to stick on this question of international law, which you said that is important to Israel. It is central to what Chatham House does. It is written on as a goal on the ceiling of the entrance hall. And I want to ask you whether it is the aim of the Israeli government to expel or persuade Palestinians to leave. Finance Minister Smotrich, also a defense minister, has said that Gaza will be completely destroyed and its Palestinian population will leave in great numbers to third countries. That provoked a statement by the UK, France and Canada condemning this abhorrent language and warning that this could be a breach of international humanitarian law.
So let me say that Israel is a democracy with as far-reaching free speech as imaginable, but that does not reflect in any way the Israeli policy. Israel does not intend...
This is the finance minister and a member of the government.
Israel does not intend... Our political system is somewhat different than yours. It's a coalition...
The world is quite aware of the Israeli political system now.
But this is absolutely not the Israeli position or intention.